Hi, welcome to a brand new video of the Target Individual Experience, the Target Individual Program. Today, um, I am again going to talk about my experience in the Criminal Coercive Persuasion Program, also the Criminal Non-Consensual Human Experimentation Program, and the Criminal Illegal Microchipping Program. The use of a coercive persuasion program is an attempt to discredit, to villainize, and to surveil victims of a non-consensual human experimentation program and an illegal microchipping program. It is also used to convince on and manipulate, I should say manipulate and convince those in the public sphere to go along with the psychological harassment and to be silent about the treatment of targeted individuals. So I want to talk about some of the attack patterns, and I've spoken about this before, and I'm going to speak on it again. It is important, like I said, that we understand the true nature of this program and that we don't get caught up in the religious dogma that they use to keep or take the blame off of those individuals, those within government agencies who are responsible for the creation, the execution, and the exploitation of the people who they put into this program and those who they manipulate into participating in criminal behavior. Okay, so let's get that straight and let's be clear on that. Okay, so this is from the psychologicalharassment.com website on the psychological manipulation. And these are some of the attack patterns. Okay, so attack, a psychological attack or threat to get the fight or flight response. Interpret reaction. The fight or flight response or adrenaline is interpreted as being fear, you're scared. Reinforce interpretation, you were scared or you got scared. Participants try to deceive or brainwash the victim into believing that to feel threatened, adrenaline or the fight or flight response means fear. Fear is used to attack the victim honor, and the victim honor is threatened if he shows fear or if his enemy sees fear. In other words, attempts are made to deceive or brainwash the victim into believing that the fight or flight response is fear because it can be easily induced through threats and interpreted as fear to attack the victim honor and repetitive humiliation, and to use the fear of fear tactics. Okay? A network of participants harasses and threatens the victim while the victim is doing his or her shopping. A degrading theme is used to put the victim on the defense. This is part of psychological warfare and also done to induce the fight or flight response, adrenaline. The lineup at the cash register is a location where participants try to stand behind victims while they use threats in the shopping area, or use subtle threats related to degrading themes to increase fight or flight. Fear of fear and fear of humiliation are, are used or built up with comments such as he's scared to induce more stress and anxiety. Once at the cash register, the victim is in a under a microscope situation where the reaction and behavior are interpreted as fear. Subtle attacks related to degrading themes are used to cause embarrassment or blushing, to destabilize or put the victim on the defensive. Because of threats, fight, fight or flight response, the adrenaline, the victim behavior or reaction are interpreted as fear to attack the victim honor and in an attempt to humiliate the victim. Things that are focused on to interpret fear are the victim behavior, reaction, gestures, their voices, and their signatures. It's a network that wages psychological warfare and uses threats to induce the fight or flight syndrome or cortisol and adrenaline. The fight or flight response, stress, cortisol, and adrenaline, potassium, depletes the body of minerals, which leads to different disorders such as micromineral deficiencies and acid-base disorder. Behavior, antisocial behavior. A change in behavior towards being antisocial or withdrawal is a classic sign of psychological harassment or psychological or criminal psychological harassment. And then it goes on here about the criminal harassment network, criminal harassment network routine strategies and smear campaign. Okay, and you guys can continue reading this. But this is what I try to explain and show in some of my videos, as well as other things. And for those who are not targeted individuals, I suggest that you go to psychologicalharassment.com, read up on some of the things that is on this website because it's a very good source of information, particularly when you talk about some of these uh, tactics that are being used to create lone wolf shooter type people. Okay, and this is important to know because this can happen to you or your family member, and you want to be able to recognize what's being done, how it's being done, and develop your own mechanism in terms of how to defend yourself against this type of psychological attacks. So I'll also talk about being surveilled, you know, uh, to a point where it's really un well, I shouldn't say unbelievable, but it's extraordinary. Okay, when every asset, looking for the right word here, when every facet of your life is under a microscope, when you're being watched daily, whether you're inside your home, outside, when you're microchipped and they can decipher signals from your brain to the computer that deciphers these algorithms and to show in real time what you're thinking, what you're looking at, what behavior you're engaging. It is something that is quite incredible to experience and very frightening at the same time. And I want to just give a brief history of surveillance because people, have a very short memory when it comes to the U.S. government. And, there has always been a history of illegal surveillance, particularly within the black community. And so it always bothers me when I see the majority of the people who participate in my targeting are black and Hispanic people, because these two groups, okay, during the uh, 19th century were the most surveilled group of people in the United States. Okay, so this comes from Slate. The article is called "The Color of Surveillance: What an Infamous Abuse of Power Teaches Us About Modern Spy Era." Well, for one thing, it still teaches us that it's still an infamous abuse of power that's still taking place, and we all know that because of the Snowden leaks, as well as other whistleblowers who've come forward and blow the lid off of the illegal surveillance taking place in the United States. Okay, and this gives you a history. Okay, the FBI has a lead. A prominent religious leader and community advocate is in contact with a suspected sleeper agent of foreign radicals. Now, that is the excuse they will always use, because they will pay someone to come to them and say these things. And once this happened, now they can go to court, get a surveillance warrant to surveil anyone who they deem. Just give me a sec here. Again, I told you guys, whenever I start doing these videos, uh, all of a sudden my face start uh, tingling, itching, and so you'll see I turn off the webcam, because again, this is something that they do, being able to use microwave signal at certain frequencies to affect things that happens to the body, because when I don't do a video, if I'm just sitting in front of the computer, watching YouTube or Facebook, my face never itches, or it never um, bother me. I never have to scratch my face or whatever. I'm particularly, you know, it's always my nose that itches, right? So again, it's just to show you that it's something that they always do, right? And the reason why I turn off the webcam, because again, there's certain things that they do, such as hand signals, stuff like that. And if I usually say, well, this is a trigger warning, but in this case, it was so bad that I had to just turn off the webcam, uh, just to scratch my nose. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go back again. So the FBI has a lead. A prominent religious leader and community advocate is in contact with a suspected sleeper agent of foreign radicals. The Attorney General is briefed and personally approved wiretaps of his home and offices. The man was born in the United States, the son of a popular cleric. Even though he's an American citizen, he's placed on a watch list to be summarily detained in the event of a national emergency. Of all similar suspects, the head of the FBI domestic intelligence thinks he's the most dangerous, at least from the standpoint of national security. Now, again, as a target individual, they will use national security, and I've said this before, public safety, public security, as a weapon against anyone who they deem is a threat. Okay, and it's very easy for them to obtain uh, surveillance warrant, wiretapping warrants on anyone they want. Because, like I said, all they have to do is pay someone to say such and such met with such and such is doing such and such, and they go and get their surveillance warrant off that individual. Okay, is this a lone wolf in league with a foreign sponsor of terrorism? No. This was the life of Martin Luther King Jr. That FBI assessment was dated August 30th, 1963, 2 days after King told our country that he had a dream. So apparently, the dream that Dr. King had scared the shit out of these white racist uh, cowards in the government, in the Department of Justice, in the NSA, in the CIA, and every other law enforcement and security agency in the United States. We now find ourselves in a new surveillance database, and the lesson of the King scandal should weigh heavy on our minds. A few months later, after the first Edward Snowden revelation, the National Security Agency disclosed that it had itself wiretapped King in the late 1960s. I was telling people about being under surveillance since 2002. No one believed me. No one took me serious. They told me I was, you know, paranoid. They labeled me as having a paranoid, delusional personality. Uh, one doctor said that I had mild schizophrenia. Okay, yeah. Yet what happened to King is almost entirely absent from our current conversation. In NSA reform debates in the House of Representatives, King was mentioned only a handful of times, usually in passing, and notwithstanding a few brave speeches by senators such as Patrick Leahy and Rand Paul outside of the Senate. The available Senate record suggests that in 2 years of actual hearing and floor debates, no one ever spoke his name. So 2 years of hearing on the illegal surveillance of American citizens and those living within the United States. In the Senate, no one mentioned Dr. King's name. But two senators did, and that was outside of the Senate, I guess, when they're speaking to the media. This is why when we as TI go to file a police report, they won't take our report because they don't want anything on record to show that groups of people have been talking about the same thing, which is being surveilled, being experimented on. And so they will tell you that, you know, are you seeing a professional? Are you on medication? And turn you away. All right. And they said there's nothing we can do about it. And if they do come out to your home to look around, they wouldn't do anything. Okay. This is what they do. This is how they hide what it is that they're doing. In every aspect of the target's life, they are being surveilled, they are being undermined, their lives are being destroyed. And those of us who speak out against it, we are attacked with such ferocity, okay, that it's incredible. I'm not going to say unbelievable. Let me just say incredible. Okay, so there's a myth in this country that in a world where everyone is watched equally. It is it's as if an old and racist J. Edgar Hoover had been replaced by the race blind magic of computers, mathematician, and big data. The truth is more uncomfortable. Across our history and to this day, people of color have been the disproportionate victims of unjust surveillance. Now, when I say this, if you're a TI looking at this and you're not black, I'm not discounting, you know, your privacy uh, violation that's happened at the hands of, you know, law enforcement, security agencies, and civilian perpetrators. I'm not discounting that. Okay, but in this country, there have always been a history of black people being under surveillance simply because of white fear. Okay, all right. Hoover was no aberration. And while racism has played its ugly part, the justification for this monitoring was the same we hear today: national security. The FBI violation against King were undeniably tinged by what historian David Garrow has called an organizational culture of like minded white men. But as Garrow and others have shown, the FBI initial wiretap request and then Attorney General Robert Kennedy approval approval of them were driven by a suspected tie between King and the Communist Party. It wasn't just King. Cesar Chavez, the labor and civil rights leader, was tracked for years as a result of vague, confidential tips about a communist background, as were many others. Many people know that during World War II, innocent Americans of Japanese descent were surveilled and detained in internment camps. Fewer people know that in the wake of World War I, President Woodrow Wilson openly feared that black servicemen returning from Europe would become the greatest medium in conveying Bolshevism to America. Around the same time, the military intelligence division created a special Negro subversion section devoted to spying on black Americans. Near the top of its list was W.E.B. Du Bois, a ranked socialist whom they tracked in Paris for fear he would attempt to introduce socialist tendency at the peace conference. This pattern is not limited to the past. For years after September 11, New York Police Department, with significant help from the CIA, again, drawing the connection here, monitored bookstore, restaurants, and nightclubs in Muslim neighborhoods and placed informants, known as mosque crawlers, in places of worship where they report on sermons and recorded the license plate of innocent congregants. The program was notably ineffective, and the NYPD settled two lawsuits over this conduct earlier this month. Other reports show that the Department of Homeland Security, an agency founded to protect against terror attack, have been tracking Black Lives Matter activists If you name a prominent civil rights leader in the 20th or 21st centuries, chances are strong that he or she was surveilled in the name of national security. Now, I want to make a correction. Before I had said the 19th century, that was my mistake, was the 20th century. So I just want to clarify that. Okay. Every day we hear about the power and promise of pervasive surveillance. We are losing sight of its victim. Instead, an NSA debate that could have surfaced a long line of Black, Latino, Asian, and Muslim victims of surveillance was cast as an argument between the US military and Snowden, national security versus the hacker. And, as a victim of a psychological operations that being waged against me, you know, I am not surprised when, I'm being targeted by, you know, Blacks, Latino, Asians, and Muslims. Because one thing that I know, and I'm an avid reader of history, but I'm also an avid reader of psychology, particularly psychological conditioning, because myself have been uh, brainwashed that uh, people who have gone through very traumatic things, had illegal things done to them, they will turn around and do it to each other as well as others. Okay, so I'm not surprised. This narrow focus may have blind Congress to the little known but especially troubling aspect of the NSA scandal. In June 2013, the headline were that the NSA was logging everyone's phone calls. So here's the interesting thing, because you have your civilian perpetrators out there who are surveilling us as targeted individuals. But in the meantime, their privacy is also being violated. They're also being listened to and watched. What they don't understand and know is also that they're also part of the experiment. Okay, the research of behavioral uh, predatory um, conditioning. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. We now know that the NSA call records program, the single largest domestic spying program in our nation's history, was effectively beta tested for almost a decade on American immigrants. Okay, in 1992, the Drug Enforcement Administration began a call records program that considered that's considered the blueprint for the NSA program, which began after September 11th and received court approval in 2006. The DEA program logged virtually all calls made from the United States to a list of countries, regardless of who made them or why. Over time, 116 countries were added to that list, including Mexico and most of Central and South America. This means that for almost a decade before the NSA call record program, countless immigrants' calls were tracked by the DEA when they called home. This is particularly true for Hispanic immigrants, who make up a large part of what is now the largest minority group in the country. We do not know what transpired in Congress closed door discussion about the NSA or DEA call records programs, but public debate largely ignore these facts. So I'm going to end it here, so you guys can read this. This is from Slate Magazine. This is from August 2016, So it's a couple of years old, but it's still relevant today because the same thing is happening. Okay, they've just gone deeper, more secretive with it. Okay, but this is why I'm doing this, to continuously show that this is continuing to happen, right? Illegal surveillance. This morning, helicopters flying overhead again. So they've been using a lot of helicopters flying low and flying overhead, uh, as a form of noise campaign to harass me. Okay. All right. So let's go to the videos. Okay, 'cause this is going to be very interesting. So over the weekend, on Saturday, I went to meet up with another TI, um, and we went to the Brooklyn Promenade. Okay, so one of the things that they'll do is that if you're a TI and you're going to meet another TI, and if they don't want you guys to meet with each other, they will harass you, threaten you into not going, and because they're trying to create that fight or flight phenomenon, response. Okay, now chances are, if you are gonna go meet another TI and you're not receiving any type of psychological harassment, most likely they want you to meet that TI because that TI is probably not a real TI. Okay, so Saturday, like I said, met up with this TI, RT New York City. This is a YouTube um, channel, and it was pretty interesting to say the least. Targeting still went on, and again, I'm going to show you how when you go to a different area, that no matter where you go, okay, they will uh, plan ahead and create scenarios, situation scripts in which to target you. But before I do this, I had played this video on my last video that I recorded, and I forgot to mention this. So one of the things that you'll see them do is that they'll send perpetrators, whether it be adults or children, with T-shirts to send you, these silent subliminal messages. So remember I talked about this young uh, girl right here. She's wearing the yellow T-shirt. Okay, you're gonna see her move now, and when they get so confident, okay, they do things again to expose themselves in a way, and you have to be conscious of that and be able to record it, because when you do that, you get some of the best evidence to show exactly what they're doing to you. Okay, so you'll see, here she comes, and on her shirt you'll see it says rerun. It's supposed to be this, right? But it just says rerun th 19, right? So again, send a subliminal message, because letting you know that they're the ones, the perpetrators, the architect of this program, including uh, those within the police department, those officers who engage in criminal activity, to let the target know that they're in charge and they're running all of this, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Okay, but there is something we can do about it, and that's exposing it. Okay, exposing it in the hopes that uh, eventually um, they will uh, be exposed, okay, and be held accountable for what they have done to countless of human beings, those that have taken their lives because of what has been done to them, those who have acted out in violence because what was done to them and can continue to be done to them. And so, we have to continue to fight in our own way. And it's okay if you're a TI and you know you're not exposing it. I understand because of the psychological trauma, the psychological threats, but you have to get to a point where you cannot allow these people to continue to use fear to control your life. Okay? And so none of us is going to be 100% of the of a, I would say, of a whole. Okay? Because our mind, our psyche has been broken into little pieces, and the only person who's going to be able to at least put some of the pieces back together, because you're still going to be broken, is yourself. Okay, and to do that you have to understand and research, read about psychology, understand what this program is, especially the psychological aspect of it, and develop uh, tactics, methods to counter a lot of the negative uh, conditioning. So I just wanted to show that, okay, because like I said, I forgot this on the last video. So here we are. We're at the promenade, and we're sitting down, and you'll see these people. They'll come. They'll stand around in front of us or on the side of us, and you know, a lot of these people walking back and forth. They've all been recruited, okay, and they have been told what to do in front of the TI. Okay, some of them have been given specific instructions in how to engage in the psychological targeting. So, for example, this guy here, okay, he comes and he stands up, he starts doing these hand signals, and I took my phone out and he turned away, okay, but he knows I'm going to be recording him, right? So, you're going to see, let me play the video, okay? So, like I said, when I took my phone out to record, he turned, and then you hear me say, "Hey, my man, look over here," and which he's going to do. Okay, and I just want you to watch the hand movement. Okay, let's go back here. All right, and what he's doing again, uh, and if you have to look at the other people too, and that's why I keep going back and forth, because sometimes I'll focus on this one person here, but then I'll go back and I'll say, okay, watch the other people in the background. Okay, so what he's doing now, he's waiting for uh, a signal. Okay, so the guy that just walked over here, he's wearing a black shirt. He walks over and he covered his mouth. Okay, and you'll see it. Let's go back. All right, so here he's walking, and you'll see he had his left hand over his mouth, and he brings it down. Okay, and at that point, he's going to turn. Now, I want you to watch how I talk about, sometimes they'll do the peace sign for me or the upside down peace sign. So you see his hands, his fingers. Okay, okay, see that? If you look at his right finger, and again, he's going to wear a shirt. I didn't want to come. Uh, Again, you'll see the peace sign, how he's holding the phone. Not really grabbing the phone with all his finger, but he has the peace sign. The upside down peace sign. Okay, see that? And so we were having a good time just laughing at these perpetrators, because again, when you understand what it is that they're doing, how they're doing it, you're not caught up in the mystical supernatural illusion that they want you to believe in. And again, that is just to give them an out in terms of you know uh, taking the blame off of them, all right, and putting it on something that's totally ridiculous. But that's what it is that they do. Okay, so let's go to the next video. And at this point, we had went to get lunch, came back. As soon as this lady here is sitting down on the bench saw me, she started sticking her finger up her nose. And this is a trigger warning, so just letting you know I'm going to show exactly what she was doing. So if you're not able to handle these triggers, I suggest that you skip past or close your eyes, let the video play, and then I'll let you know when it's okay for you to continue watching, right? So again, trigger warning. So she was doing this, okay? That's what she was doing multiple times as we were approaching. So when I took my phone out, I started recording. All of a sudden, she just turned and sat there, motionless, not doing anything. Okay, so you'll see her here. She's, again, motionless. Okay. Now, again, they know. So you're gonna see the guy with the backpack, and you'll see he's gonna do you know, the fixation drill with the with the palm of his hand, and you got it, and it's very quick. So you got to. I'm gonna try to pause it. Okay, so you see right here, he acts as he's fixing his pants. As he's turned, you can see the right hand is open. Right, again, fixation drill. He's gonna turn around and look at us. See, right there, turns around and look at us. Okay, now again, they're gonna follow it with a death threat. Okay, and they're gonna try to mask it. Also, remember I talk about the last video I talked about them using barcodes, right? So you see here on this man's jacket, you'll see a barcode, okay, and follow behind the woman behind him, okay. Uh, you'll see her hands with the two finger closed in, uh, you know, making like a gun, okay. See that? And that's why you see I turn the phone so I can get a better video of her fingers. Okay, so we're not done. I'm gonna keep walking, and now these two people right here, they're gonna come and they love to do this. They love to walk across you, very close, to you, to where you're almost bump into each other, right? Okay, now before I go, the lady in front with the backpack, uh, I thought I got her in the footage, but you'll see her. She had uh, took her hands again, placed it behind her back, palm open, facing me, towards me. Guy on the bench pinching his nose. Let's go back there a sec. Okay, there he goes, pinching his nose. Okay, so they had like I said already instructed these individuals where to sit, where to go. If we go out to lunch and come back, this is what you guys are going to do. Okay. Here we go again. You'll see as we approach. Now there. You see the guy in the burgundy shirt. So he walks over, looks at his phone, looks at us. Okay. They were using the color pink, and RT was saying um, pink is for girl. But again, this is all subliminal. You see, you're gonna walk across in front of me again and again. I talk about them using people with wheelchair, and of course, you know, they're gonna be people in a wheelchair who's there to size you and have you, but you never know. Like I said, right? As a target in this psychological warfare operation being waged against us, everyone or the majority of people in whichever area that you go to, whichever restaurant, doesn't matter where you go to, the majority of the people there are going to target you. Okay? Okay, now here's the interesting part. So you see these two couples coming here. He's wearing a yellow shirt, she's wearing a white shirt. He sees us and he starts pinching his nose. Okay? All right? Now, you see both their hands go down. Okay? Because you see how she was holding onto him. All of a sudden now she lets him go. And now she's going to engage with the index finger. She, again, trigger warning. So now she's going to start doing this and that. And I talked about what that represents, right? Okay, and then she stuck the middle finger out at me. Okay, so here you go. Let's go. And now she's going to do the fixation drill, the palm of the hand, trigger warning. She's going to go like this. So this is, again, how they mask their targeting. And again, once they're in that psychological attack mode, sometimes it's very hard for them to stop doing what it is that they're doing. And that's how I've been able to recognize that and record these footage and explain what exactly is being done. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next video. Okay, so in this video, we were leaving. Okay, so let's go back in the beginning. All right, so when we first got into the park, there was a homeless guy that was there. He was sitting down, waiting for us. When he saw us, he laid down, and and I knew that this was going to happen. That once we left, I mean for good, that they're going to start using this guy to target me. Okay. So when he saw us leaving, he got up, and that's when I started recording. Okay. All right. So now you're going to see a pattern that's going to be evolving. Okay. Now you see this woman walking across the street, and again, this is a trigger warning. She sees us. She starts doing the hand signals, the hand behind the head, right, brushing her hair back. Okay. Now you see this couple right here. Okay. They were on the promenade, and they left. But again, because we were leaving, so they had to get in front of us. Okay. So they're walking very slow. Okay. Now, as we approach, And all of a sudden, she's going to turn around. She's going to look up at the window of the building, and then she's going to trigger warning. She does this. Okay? See that? Okay? So now they turn back, and now they're walking back to the provenance, right? And now she starts putting her hands over her mouth. Okay? And that's us coughing. This is what they'll do to us sometimes, so we're doing it back to them. Okay, so now you'll see this two couple with their kid walking. She sees us. She starts playing with her hair. Then they both, if you see both of them, they both start doing this, right? He has his right arm on his waist. She has her left arm on her waist. This is all hand signals that they do. Okay? And then she starts playing with her hair. Okay? Okay, so I also have this blown up a little bit. So let's get to that uh, part of it over here. Um, okay. Oh, man. All right. Too far. Okay, so here we go. So this you guys can see a little better. Okay? And she starts playing with her hair. Now she's going to put a hand behind her head, playing with her hair. Okay, are you guys seeing the pattern yet? Okay. All right, so let me go back to the other video. Okay. All right. So you guys seeing that? Okay, skip this a little. Let's see. All right. Now I want you to watch this woman right here, and you'll see she stops herself from doing it fully, but you see again she starts playing with her hair. It's gonna be very quick. See that? Okay, another woman approaching. She starts playing with her hair when she sees us. Again, it's a hand signal. Now they're both gonna do it at the exact same time. The person that's sitting here wearing the blue sweater, and this woman is walking towards us wearing the white sweater. And now you'll see this guy here. Okay, so the guy here in the blue shirt. All of a sudden, he takes off his shades. Now it was a very sunny day. Okay, but he waits until he gets to me, takes off his shades, and now you see another perp. This guy here in the gray shirt. Once he realizes that we're recording, he tries to hide himself. Okay. Okay. Now he starts tugging on his clothes. All right. So he basically walked across the street to stand up in front of this building here to target me, and of course I was recording. So now he's going to walk back across the street. See, now you see what he's doing. Okay, he's walking across from me with his trigger one, with his hands like this, with his thumb touching his nose. See that? Okay. And the reason why I'm still recording, and you see I didn't record a lot, only certain things, because again, this is my setup for them, because I want them to think that I wasn't going to be recording, so they can feel free to, you know, put their target in, or the street theater in motion, because once it's in motion, it is very hard for them to stop. And that, like I said, is the best time for me to get footage of the target, right? The psychological harassment, the built-in anchors and the triggers that they do, as I explain what's going on. So you see another guy here, he comes, hands behind the head again, all right? See another woman in the white, she does the same thing. Let's go back here. Woman in the white. Let's go here. She'll come across, her hands over her mouth, okay? And then she's gonna put her hands behind her back, the back of her head, like this, okay? All right, so let's look at the man in the blue. I'm not quite sure what he did. So you gotta go back again. Okay, he's just putting on his coat. Again. Okay. Guy standing here. Sticks his finger in his ears. Okay, let's go. Skip forward. Okay, now check this out. So so the police officer, he stops and he's looking at us, but he's not realizing that I'm recording. As I get closer and he sees that I'm recording, now he turns around and he walks away. Right? Then he takes his phone out of his hand, looks at it, and then walk away also. and they got another female playing with her hair, and then the fixation drill of the palm. So that's why trigger wanted. That's why that's why you'll see her do this. Okay, now she doesn't have any hair in her hands to say that she's brushing her hair back behind her head. But again, this is what they do. Okay, all right, and then see there's the guy how he's laughing. Okay, because again, because they think it's funny. Okay, and that's the license plate 4822. So now that they realize that I'm being recorded and got some footage, including with the cop. I mean, didn't get his face because once he saw that where I was recording, he turned around and he bolted. Okay, and so now you see another woman come up to me, and now she's gonna be bowing her head when she sees me. She sees us, and she bows her head. This is the stuff that they do. All right, so I'm going to skip some of the stuff now just to shorten this video. Again, you see that across the street, the woman, hands behind the head, and then she does the. Let's go back again. Okay. Me looking dead in my face. Yeah, look at her. Okay. Now watch as she crosses. You see her. She does this. Okay. All right. So got on the train, and there was a man came on the opposite side of the platform, and he started targeting me and stuff like that. And I was just like, man. But you know what? We had a good time. It was very amusing. Engaging with these civilian perps. And then you see her in the video. We were laughing. We were laughing a lot at them because we were just saying that these people you know they have a form of mental illness and they don't even realize that. Okay, and for them to engage in this type of behavior, you have to be mentally ill. Okay, and so when people are labeled by professionals as mentally ill because of people like these individuals who do these sort of things, uh, people like us, we're given the wrong label, and these people out there are the ones that should be given the label of being mentally ill. Okay, so just wanted to say that. You know, again, I hope I'm able to explain uh, what it's like to be in this criminal coercive persuasion program and to show the psychological targeting that takes place, the psychological harassment that takes place. And I'll see you guys in the next video.